My name is Rich Simon. I'm editor of Psychotherapy Networker, and I'd like to welcome you to a very special session at this year's virtual symposium. This is the session devoted to the winner of the 2020 Networker Lifetime Achievement Award, Peter Levine, and to his work and his contribution. Before we bestow the award, I'd just like to read a few observations, a few thoughts about Peter as I was thinking about trying to put his career in some kind of a context. So personally, I had first had the great good fortune to actually see Peter Levine work almost 10 years ago in a demonstration session at an Evolution of Psychotherapy conference. As a chatty, conventionally trained psychotherapist, I must confess that I found much of what I was observing a bit bewildering, particularly the almost total absence what I had spent years learning how to do. There certainly wasn't a lot of talk. Instead of asking a series of questions about the events that led to the client's presenting problem, Peter kept zeroing in with an extraordinary precision on things that were, at least to me, therapeutic incidentals. The woman's breathing patterns, the shifts in her posture, changes in the color of her face, or what had seemed to me a barely perceptible shift in the position of one of her shoulders in relation to the other. Could this micro-focusing on such minutiae be what psychotherapy was supposed to be about? The things that seemed to most catch Peter's attention were things I would have never considered significant enough to notice. And yet, there was simply no way that I could ignore the quality of Peter's presence. He wasn't just paying attention, you'd expect that. No, he was attention. He embodied it, aware of and tracking every nuance of movement, every gesture, every breath the demonstration client was taking. And in response, you could see her right there in front of us begin to emerge from behind her cloud, become more open and vibrant and freer as the session went on. Afterwards, even if I didn't quite understand what I had seen or what Peter was doing, I felt not only that I had observed a master at work, but that I myself had experienced his presence in my body and in my mind. Physically, energetically, at some subtle level, I felt I was walking out of the room a different person than the one who had walked in. I was breathing a little more deeply, moving a little more fluidly. I think I even felt a bit taller. How many psychotherapists are there who can improve your posture by merely watching them at work? Now, when I was in graduate school, the idea that you could approach psychological healing through the body would have seemed, frankly, a very odd notion. You were supposed to do therapy as if clients had no bodies. Clients were, officially speaking, nothing but minds floating somewhere within or above the forgotten physical machinery that had brought them to the session in the first place. The idea that you could do psychotherapy from the bottom up rather than the top down, these are phrases that our honoree has made very familiar to this audience, that you could focus on your client's physical being and the sensations they felt in their bodies rather than exclusively on what they thought and said seemed, at that point, completely outlandish. After all, it isn't called talk therapy for nothing. But over the course of his career, Peter Levine has spent little time using the familiar language of psychotherapy. Instead, he has developed a more subtle, still to me, somewhat mysterious language of the body and its sensations. And it's a language that few of us have been trained to understand. Over the past several decades, Peter has elevated body-oriented psychotherapy to a once unimaginable place of acceptance within the wider field of psychotherapy. As much as anyone in our field, he has transformed our most fundamental ideas about how to understand what goes on inside us when we get disoriented and dysregulated. His work has been an enormous factor in helping therapists recognize how in the process of emotional healing, thinking and talking have their limitations. He has taught us that for therapy to be effective, we need to help people regulate their core physiological functions, something which doesn't usually occur through words and language alone. During the course of his career, those ideas have seemed dangerous and taboo to many people within this field. But he has been undeterred. He has unfailingly displayed the conviction and determination that has made him a pioneer in charting out a different kind of therapeutic path, a path that has fundamentally transformed our field and how we understand the processes of human healing. So this morning, it's my great honor to be able to give Peter the Networker's 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award. Peter, on behalf of all the people whose lives and work you've transformed, thank you for your extraordinary contribution to our field. And now, as you receive your Lifetime Achievement Award, I'd like all of us out there to, even in your virtual form, to stand up and for all of us to imagine a huge standing ovation for one of the true pioneers in our field. Peter, thank you for all the contributions you have made to our profession.